Uber was my number one performing stock today. It was up 10.8%. That's a phenomenal day, 1 day return. This has been one of the big bets I've made into, I'm going to call them a mid cap company. Big caps nowadays, mega caps, you have to be $1 trillion to qualify into that category. But this has just been a really good investment. And just today, I made over $8,700 on this stock, just 1 day. It's great to be a stock investor when stocks really take off. And over the course of my investment, which has been roughly about 2 years, I'm up $46,000 on this investment, and it's over 103% return. So most definitely, this is exactly what I'm looking for in an investment. The value of my shares now are exceed $90,000 in Uber. So what I'd like to do in this video is cover the news that led to this big rise in the stock price. Why? Why is Uber really rallying? That's the first question I hope to answer in the video. And it's pretty interesting how this is pretty woven into the Tesla story. And Uber is woven into Google Alphabet and other companies. So I'll take a look at that and share with you why I think Uber is going to be an incredibly valuable and important company for the future. I'm definitely an investor, really believe in Uber. Everything I share with you in this video, please take it as educational and entertainment value, video content. It is not a recommendation for you to buy Uber, sell Uber, do anything with Uber stock. Please weigh your decisions on your investments really carefully. I wanted to present the opportunity for you to be a paid member of the community I started, and it's really going well. It's been very valuable to be in touch with other investors, sharing the ideas and knowledge, experience on stocks. And I encourage you to become a paid member so you can get all access to information that's going to help you learn to be a better investor. And there's 3 levels. Please take a look at the level that is best for you. It's in the details of the video. And I would appreciate your consideration. Thank you. Uber is a new generation company. We didn't have ride hailing 30 years ago. They really began maybe 15, 20 years ago. We started hailing rides, and the rest is history. This has really disrupted the taxi model that we once had. And frankly, I didn't like the previous taxi model. I don't know that I ever enjoyed taxi rides, but Uber really presented a new way of getting a ride. And I use it quite a bit, especially when I travel. I exclusively take Uber. I don't rent cars anymore. Now, the stock IPO'd a couple of years ago, and it was somewhat held back with the bear market we had in 2022. You could see that in those days, the stock really, really went down like 51% roughly in 2022. But really toward the end of that period, if you bought the stock at the end of 2022, you'd be sitting on a 250% return. And I've been accumulating shares in Uber for a couple of years. So I did buy shares in this really low point and have dollar cost averaged in my investment over time. And especially in late 2023, the stock just really moved 96% over the course of just 5 months. Just an awesome move in the stock. And now it's beginning to do that again. So we'll see what it does on this occasion. It's up quite dynamically from August 2nd to this point, which is a little over 2 months. It's up 46%. So it's been a really dynamic stock. So we know the stock price is really being traded by investors, traded by the market. So the stock price has a lot of attention. But let me point my attention to the company and tell you why I'm a big believer in Uber. My investment in Uber really began with me buying into the overall story of Uber, how quickly they're growing their revenues, how they have the most users on their platform, and how more entrepreneurs, micro entrepreneurs that are driving in their own car and giving people rides, kind of like the gig economy, are preferring Uber, and how Uber is growing into other categories like food delivery, package delivery, as well as logistics for big commercial accounts. So that story really made a lot of sense to me. And I feel that Uber has really harnessed that story. And they have the largest platform of ride sharing. And the platform, I believed, was going to be the big value of the company. A lot like our friends at Meta, which have over 3 billion people log into a Meta platform every month. Uber has people using the app every single day. Speaking for myself, I use it every single month. I'm either using it for ride hailing or I'm using it for food delivery. And the next generation, Like one of my sons uses it, geez, like every day. he he prefers not to have a car and just uses Uber. So uses it for food delivery, uses it for ride hailing. It's pretty much kind of like the thing that a lot of young people are deciding to do. So the network of Uber is one of these big advantages that the company has, and they keep getting bigger. Now, that network has opened up opportunities for Uber. With regards to taxi service or ride hailing, we're moving from a paradigm where you have somebody pick you up and that car has a driver, a person. You say hello, they're usually really pleasant, and they get you to where you need to be. Well, the future is going to have robo taxis, autonomously driven cars that are going to drive people around. And Uber has formed partnerships with the companies that have the technology to make autonomous driving work for robo taxis. The most notable name is our friends over at Google Alphabet, which make Waymo. And Waymo has been in service in Phoenix for a long time. It's been in service in San Francisco. It's in service in Los Angeles. It's in service in some major cities and really logging a lot of rides and logging a lot of experience and getting the confidence of cities who are considering opening up autonomous robo taxi services in their city. So it looks like Uber and Waymo are going to pair up and offer ride hailing fully autonomous in Austin and Atlanta. I've been to both cities, two great cities. And Atlanta is specifically is a massive city. That is a humongous city. Very impressive. Universities, business community is very vibrant. Austin as well. Very vibrant business community. They have the University of Texas there. Both cities are really, really interesting. And in the case of Uber, they're going to be operating in these two markets with autonomous. They are also doing autonomous with WeRide in the United Arab Emirates. That looks interesting. So they're going to do autonomous delivery and mobility with EverRide. So these partnerships are basically excellent ideas, which is one side of the partnership is bringing the technology, and the Uber side of the partnership is bringing the platform. It's bringing the customers. And together, I think they're going to get really far. Now, yesterday, Tesla came out with their ideas around robotaxi. They had a Hollywood style production that released late last night, and it was quite the scene. And it was viewed by many people. And in general, it ended up being a giant flop for Tesla. And why did it flop? Well, I think part of it is that Tesla's coming into a marketplace where the market already has some players that are really making this work. Robo taxis are live in major cities. They are live in China. And Tesla came into the marketplace and said, hey, in 2027, we may deliver our first robo taxi. 2027, we're in 2024. That's 3 years from now. And from what we've learned, the Tesla timelines are not always very accurate. If you look at the Cybertruck, we had to wait a number of years past the original release date that Elon Musk had communicated previously. So the Tesla news really created a lot of attention on robotaxis. And I think the robotaxi business model most definitely has a future. It most definitely has, it makes total business sense. I think you can put a lot of cars that could transport people around, and people can just on their Uber app, in this case, is pick where they want to go, and the car picks them up and gets them from point A to point B. So Tesla's giant flop and the attention that they drew really helped Uber, because it helped investors and really the public at large realize Uber has a real business. They have the ability to execute on what will be a very big business. They don't need to build the technology. They've partnered with Google Alphabet for the technology. Wonderful. That's great. That means that in the case of going to market, there is few things that need to be done for Uber. They just need to offer it up as a service, which they're beginning to do in two major cities here in the US. And then we're off to the races. It's going to be a service that's allowed here in the US. And Uber's taken it internationally, where they're going to offer it in other countries. So it's a pretty exciting day for Uber. It really expands the valuation of Uber because now not only are they going to be dominant in ride sharing as we once knew it, which was somebody picks you up and you have the convenience of using your phone app and calling for a ride. And now we're going to have a lot of robo taxis driving us to where we need to be. So a big reason why the stock really jumped today is we can thank Tesla, because Tesla drew the attention of the investing community and made the investing community realize that, hey, this is a business that's going to start and it's going to be big. It also helped the business community understand who really is in the lead here. And one of the players in the lead is Uber. Uber has become a $180 billion market cap company, and they already have $40 billion of revenue, and they continue to grow very quickly. The PE this year looks pretty high at 94, but as I'll show later, their earnings or earnings per share is expanding very fast. So next year, the PE is 44. It's a strong buy by analysts. And I think after today, analysts are really going to increase their price targets, because in these price targets that I'm showing, I don't believe any of them have the news that happened yesterday and today priced into them. Overall, the stock's really worked. Over the 1 year, it's up 85%. So that looks great for Uber. Uber's revenues have been expanding very well, and I believe will begin to accelerate. Their revenues were 14.44% larger than the previous year if you look at the trailing 12 months. But they're beginning to really accelerate their growth, which looks really good. And they are a profitable company now. It's a young company that really wanted to be profitable, and they are profitable. Uber's balance sheet is healthy. They have over $6 billion of cash. They have a little over $11 billion of debt. So net debt is about $5 billion. And they have EBITDA of $2.8 billion. So they could pay off all debt in less than 2 years if they focus their EBITDA on paying off debt. Cash flows for Uber are very exciting. If you look at the company in 2021, their free cash flow is actually negative 3.3 billion. They were spending more in capital expense and related items to get the business up to scale. But they hit scale in 2022 and were cash positive by 390 million. That's where they really got my attention. When a young business that's growing this quickly gets to free cash flow status, it really becomes exciting, because Uber has become larger and larger, but their capital expense is not like a company that has to continue to invest in the business to keep growing. You think about all the cars that currently are driven on Uber. The people that drive on Uber, they buy the car, they lease the car, and then they drive on Uber. So Uber doesn't have to buy cars. They don't have to maintain the cars. The individuals, the little gig entrepreneurs are buying the cars and then operating the cars. So that's a great model. It's a lot like the sharing model on YouTube or Airbnb. These types of businesses have a lot of cash producing capabilities. The other thing that's happening is scale. Uber can get 3 times as big, and their expenses are not going to multiply by 3. They can scale up without scaling up expenses. So the cash flow is just really exciting to see a company go from negative cash flow to very high positive cash flow very quickly. And you could see that it's really growing from this point. I've updated my valuation of Uber, and I value companies based on free cash flows the companies produce and the cash flows I'm expecting them to produce in the future, as well as the earnings per share. And when I do my evaluation, I believe that Uber is discounted by 10%. Even with this new higher stock price, there's still a discount available for me. When I look at free cash flows, again, it's a very dynamic free cash flow number that's going to grow quickly. I'm growing the first 4 years by 22%. And terminal value is going to grow at 5%. The value of all those free cash flows, if you look at the net present value that uses 8% as the discount rate, is $192.5 billion in value. I add the cash and take away debt on the balance sheet to get to an equity value of 188 billion in Uber. The market cap for the company right now, as of the market close today, is 180 billion. So there's about a 4% discount available on Uber using free cash flows. I've used on earnings per share, I've used the 2025 number since we're around the corner from 2025, and that is $2.27 is expected. I'm going to use a PE of 36. I could have easily gone to 48 or 50 because this is a growth company in the right place at the right time. The growth rate is 30%, and they are expected to do better than that as they move from 2025 to 2026. So the earnings per share really support a higher number. I think Uber has momentum. I think the stock's going to continue to work going forward. So this is a nice discount on an excellent company to consider. Uber is a very desirable business, and I put their company in the highest level of my desirability quadrant. The reasons for it is their network and platform is clearly the dominant platform in the US, and it also has a lot of advantages worldwide. Having that many people on Uber enables them to open up to other businesses, food delivery, package delivery, and now robotaxi. So the advantages that Uber has will pretty much help them fend off competitors and in a way not even have competition. I could tell you their brand is the strongest in this category. People really depend on and trust Uber. And that I think is going to be a big advantage the company's going to have. I showed you the discount of 10% that's available. And I really think Uber is going to be a tremendous company. They are going to announce their earnings later this month. And ahead of those earnings, if the stock price settles down a bit, maybe a percent or two, I'm going to buy more shares. If not, I'm going to really look forward to their earnings and see what they have to say. Use that information to update my analysis. But I can almost assure you that I'll continue to buy shares in Uber. I just really think this company is very well run. They have the best ideas in this space. They have the best platform, the best network. People really trust Uber. And I think that's going to be huge for the company. So that's my video on Uber. I hope you found it interesting. And it was great to see the stock do so well today. I really appreciate you watching. Good luck investing.